You ready then?
Yeah.
Okay. We will go back into regular session at 7:32. We are on item number 4, delegation of visitors. Visitors and patrons, comments pertaining to items on the agenda for the current meeting for which they desire to give input to the board. Anybody, Jessica, do you have anything that you want to talk about? Okay. We will move on to 5 items of information to the board. Update, HMK.
Quick update, we have progressing through bidding of the seismic project. That we've received all our bids from our subcontractors. We're putting those together with our conditions on those bids. We should have those bids for your review for your next meeting. We're progressing through the rest of the design scope with those changes. We have a cost estimating meeting scheduled for the 10th. Or around between, in the next few days, we have a cost presentation meeting for that. We'll have an update with budget wise to next week as well for that.
Will you have a meeting scheduled with you right after spring break?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
I just can't recall those.
Yes, okay.
Any questions for me?
I don't think so.
Everything's progressing well for the bids, for the seismic project. Really good and good as we do coming up and building those out next week.
Thank you. Then go ahead.
It's Anna's turn. Move on to B, legislative update.
Yeah, you're on.
Whoa!
We moved you up on the list.
Something, okay.
That's where we're at, 4B.
You guys are so good. You know, I get off the board to become efficient. How does that all?
You said that. For the record, I did not say that.
I did say that because my government job now is making me tons less effective. I'm gonna borrow it for you because I didn't know about this. So thank you guys for having me. For the record, I'm Representative Anna Sharp, House District 23, and I'm good. And so I thought I'd come in tonight and give you guys a really quick, brief update on what happened during legislative session with respect to what impacts you as a school board. So it's kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly of what was pushed through this session. And I'll just start. I'm going to start with the ugly and end with the good stuff. So the ugly bill that was passed was Senate Bill 1521, and that's the superintendent contract bill, which I spoke actually against on the House floor, because what it does is it takes away local control from the school boards, and it takes away the local relationship building that school boards have with superintendents. Good school boards, good superintendents don't care about this bill. As I said on the floor, COSA doesn't represent every single superintendent, and OSBA definitely does not represent every single school board in the state. The loophole or the ability to still do what you've always done, which is termination without clause, can be negotiated in. You absolutely have the ability to negotiate that in. So if Dugan gets an awesome job somewhere else and leaves us, and you go out to hire a brand new superintendent, you absolutely still have the ability, we retain that ability, for you to negotiate in their termination without cause. And I'm telling you right now, if the superintendent and the school board can't come to that agreement from day one, they shouldn't be working together. That's just my personal opinion for what it's worth. So that was the ugly one. Moving down the list to the less ugly ones, was another one that I voted no on, but that would have had the would have required school boards and superintendents to do annual assessments of themselves. Okay, so why? We're already doing it. But this would have actually put it into statute, which was really stupid, because if it went into statute, there was no teeth behind it to say, hey, Perryville School Board, you didn't do a self-assessment. What do you do? We're elected officials. So it was a stupid bill. I voted against it.
But it passed, didn't it?
But it did pass.
Do you have the number on that one?
That one is House Bill 4029. Yeah, that's about House Bill 4026, getting better. This is a bill that guarantees school district funding, which doesn't help you guys, but I did vote yes for it because it's a really great thing. What it did is it held the ADMs of the school districts that were affected by fire. So Sandy M Canyon and also down in the Medford Phoenix Talent School District, it held their ADMs to 2019, it pushed it clear out until 2025. Because it is taking those four school districts, as you guys know from looking at construction projects, it is taking them forever to get those four school districts rebuilt. And although we've done a lot to flush money into them, they still have kiddos that haven't come back yet. They're gonna come back. Their family farms are there. Their properties are there. They're gonna come back. They just haven't yet because they're still displaced. So that was like one, yes, 100% got behind it. Gave them a whole bunch more money just to keep getting by based on their old ADM. Senate Bill 1546. This one was fairly controversial, but this decoupled the Elliott Forest. And I don't know how many people are familiar with the Elliott Forest, but the Elliott Forest was originally intended to be logged to backfill the O&C money for state school funding. Didn't even know a lot about this stuff. And what happened is it got hands off. No logging was ever taken out of there. No money was generated. Like, we're talking multiple millions of dollars generated. And so what we did is we decoupled that. We took it away from the school, the state school fund, but we gave it to Oregon State University. So the state of Oregon said, here's this humongous timber tract, and we're going to give it to you, and you're going to have it as a research center, which made the environmental activists really, really happy. But on the back side of the bill, we said there's also going to be a state oversight agency, which is required to log it. So it is required to have X amount of board feet every single year logged out of it with all the funds dedicated to Common School Fund. So Common School Fund, though, being the O&C counties, which we sit in, not Common School Fund everybody TPS, but Common School Fund in the O&C county. If they break that agreement and they don't do what they're supposed to do, then it goes back into private sale, which is where Lone Rock Resources, the tribe, and everybody were at 4 or 5 years ago, and had a multi-billion-dollar deal done with the state of Oregon and had to run for that for them. So we've got some good fallbacks for it. Should bring some money back into our rural schools that we were guaranteed a really long time ago. So I was actually pretty excited about that, and then the back door things that were done with that was really, really good. House Bill 4030. House Bill 4030 is kind of a complex bill. It was introduced as a fingerprint bill for fingerprinting educators and morphed its way into a million different other things as they do. So it changes, which I was just talking to Duke about. I'm super excited about this. They have directed the Oregon Department of Education to look at out-of-state teacher licensing finally. So if you're a nurse licensed in New York to practice medicine, we have reciprocal agreements for, I think it's 23 or 33 different states where nurses can cross state lines. We also have reciprocal agreements for physicians who can cross state lines. The state of Oregon, lots of other states have educator reciprocal license agreements. The state of Oregon's never had one. Well, we have an educator crisis. I mean, having a son that's a junior in college, getting ready to become a teacher, I'm super stoked about the educator crisis because he's going to be able to get a job, but it's a bad place for us to be in. So opening that up also opens up the ability for us to attract educators from out of state to come to live in our beautiful state. It did also retain the fingerprinting changes, which I had to vote for this bill, but I didn't like this section. I was kind of indifferent to it. But if, let's say Amber works here as a teacher for 10 years, and then Amber decides to go get a job at Salem Kaiser, Amber wouldn't have to be re-fingerprinted. As long as she had been in the system for 2 years, she would have been re-fingerprinted. So it will save districts, especially small districts, some money. But there were just some other things that were a little bit concerning about it. They tightened it up, so I voted against. There's also going to be some reimbursement money in there for substitutes and aides for training, out-of-pocket cost training. So if you've got an aide that goes out and gets their CPR license on their own, there's going to be a program where they can get through the ESDs where they can get reimbursed for that training if the districts don't have the funding for it. So it'll be a little bit of a cushion for smaller school districts. It's really awesome. I told you there's a lot of junk in this one. State job portal. So they also threw in a state job portal, which we used to have EdZap. What happened to EdZap?
Yes. It's fine.
Okay, well, evidently we're gonna have a new portal that they're gonna spend $376,000 developing. So that we can, I know, right? We can do a lot more with $376,000. At least it didn't have a what in front of it. Oh, I'm sorry, it's only 320,000. But anyway, they're gonna formulate, this, database for jobs throughout the state for educators, as well as classified and, I don't know if admin staff's in there though. And then they're gonna use another $300,000 out of that one to go and look at actually doing a study of where are we short in our state, what careers are we short on, what teachers are we short on, what aides are we short on, what skill sets are we short on, to hopefully backfill that database to go, what do we need to be looking for outside of the state. So it also created 12 new jobs with the Oregon Department of Education and 3 new teacher skills for practice, which is always great to create more jobs that we don't be able to pay for in the future. Let's see, that was 40/30. Let's see. Oh, so sorry, school board members, I voted against this one, but you're now rolled in with me. Starting, I don't know if they're going to roll it out this year, but next year, you as an elected official will be required to file your verified statement of economic interest, your SEI form, every single year, which tells everybody and their son if they do a public records request through the Secretary of State, who you work for, and where your money comes from. So this is to try and get at, again, larger school districts who have conflicts of interest because they're married to the administrator of the school, or they have heavy, big contracts with the school, and they need to disclose their economic interest. So I was one of my colleagues that said no, but y'all got rolled in. Ironically, you are the only ones that were out. So city council members, mayors, everybody's been rolled in. School board got left out forever. Lots of that one. And then a couple that died, but I fully expect these to come back next time, will be Oregon Government Ethics Commission ability to do public meeting law enforcement more. Ironically, this was an OSBA focus, but it's actually all public meetings. And there's a couple of groups on Eastern Oregon that were making some decisions, economic development interest boards that were making decisions behind closed doors that drove this, but OSBA jumped on it as a way to get on top of it. The last thing, which was probably, I voted against the bill with the funding package, which is what we call our economic omnibus bill. It's got basically almost $2 billion worth of money in it. And if you don't vote for it, it means that you're terrible. And if you do vote for it, it means you just took money to buy votes. But there was $122 million allocated to move Harriet Tubman Middle School in Portland away from the freeway. So I'm thinking there's a lot of school districts out there that could have done a lot with $122 million for the 20 of them, but we're going to move one because our governor wanted it done. So. Any other questions? Any questions?
Should we put a freeway next to it?
Yeah, right? I know. Remember when we talked about putting like a walkway overpass and they're also going to canopy, so the Rose Quarter is going to have there's some place up in Seattle, one of the freeways has like this curtain that goes over the top. It's not a tunnel, it's just like this cap.
It's gonna be like Fremont Street.
Kind of like Fremont Street, but without the zip line.
I love how that's
To
where you're
catch
going away.
carbon, to catch carbon output. So that's a separate multi-billion-dollar package.
I don't think that one catches anything.
It
might. It might.
Yeah, but $122 million to move one middle school was
I mean,
a lot of money, I thought.
for saving things.
We are done. We can't do any more damage unless they go second session with high potential. I think we get 715 million, something like that for the e-board. So if it's just spending, e-board can meet without us there. They'll just keep throwing out cash like candy. But there's some things coming down for the feds, and we do have a cap, and once they reach that cap, they have to call us back into session. So we're fully anticipating that before the end of the year, we'll be back in session, either rolling back funding because it's not coming in, or rolling out more funding to agencies such as Department of Transportation, who is screwed right now because of gas prices. They have to roll their roll. Got to do a
Sunshine Road.
Our fourth and fifth grade is coming to the Capitol on April 27th. So I just found out the date
Now
today.
you want my glasses.
No, I'm getting my phone out. April 27th?
April
So they
27th.
know we're not there, right?
Yes, but they want to
Okay.
be able to go do it in person.
And they won't have to wear masks.
And not being virtual to it.
So if you can shoot me the exact times that they're gonna be there, I would be more than happy to meet them, give them a tour of, the third floor offices. Probably get Obi, we can get them down on the floor as well, because the floor, you can floor for the form and stuff, chief clerk's office, that kind of stuff.
I'll find out. I haven't told the teachers yet as to the faculty.
Is that Dean's class still?
Yeah, Dean and Judith.
Awesome. No, please, wide open. I'd love to do it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Dad.
All
Thank
right,
you.
bye. Good night.
I'm gonna stay for a while.
Okay.
I brought work to do.
Okay.
I'm all set now.
You wanna go, Brian? You want me to go?
You go.
Okay. 4C, report. We'll start with our superintendent report.
Sorry.
You want me to skip you?
Nope, good.
Okay.
I had it ready because I knew that was gonna happen fast, so. Just talked about today being the first day that we had, mask being optional, and again, we went, class to class to talk with everybody. I asked a couple of students, this afternoon how things went, and, their family has chosen to continue to have their students wear masks, and they said it went really well, so, I mean, that's just two kids from the same family, but we'll check in again tomorrow, because we definitely have more students that chose to go without masks than go with. But 10 days ago, we went to each of the classes, Mrs. Henry, Mrs. Ford, myself, and talked with everybody about being inclusive and making sure that we're being supportive, not trying to have divisiveness, and just making sure that we're being supportive of one another. And it's not everyone's business on what families choose to do, and that went over pretty well, but we wanted to make sure we talked about that again today. So we haven't heard anything negative so far today, and one class had probably about 7 kids that had about 7 in that one class, right? Students had their masks on, and some classes had 0, so it just kind of depended on the situation. So, again, overall, I think things went pretty well today, and I'm not gonna lie, it was nice to be able to see more faces around here, but we still want to make sure we're being supportive of everything. So, it was good. It
Great.
did feel a little weird, just like we were talking about earlier with you, Amber. It was, I heard, and I think Cindy was saying the same thing, it's almost like you forget, or you feel like you're forgetting something all day long. So it's definitely, it's a positive. Next paragraph down, I said we're going to be going back to regular opportunity for our students to be heard. So we're doing School-Wide Improvement Day on April 28th. We haven't done that for a while. We thought about doing it earlier, but our mental health person, Miss Stephanie, her son is in a mariachi band. So those of you listening online, please don't spoil this, but with your kids. But Woodburn High School has a mariachi band, and so they're actually going to come and perform for our kids that same day. And then we have our choir that, again, is getting ready for the state competition at Oregon State on May 5th. So we will be watching our choir and then also the mariachi band and kind of having a little celebration of the music art that day. So we'll have quiz in the morning, and then we'll have that in the afternoon. We look at planners right now. So, and then next one there, or next part of that, a lot of our students have had SWID the last couple of years. We haven't had it, so we're looking forward to doing it. Our school board members are always welcome. We've had that kind of as a tradition in the past. Those that want to come in and interact with our classes and hear what the students have to say. So, we've had kids in the past say it's ridiculous, but we've had a lot of kids say, this is really good, and had some students that say we never used to do this in our old school, things like that. So it's a unique thing that we're able to give our students that voice on some items. And I don't anticipate that we'll be looking at doing any type of swimming pool underneath the basketball court like we have every year, but
It'll get asked.
We're trying.
Yeah, something like that, but, you know, we've been able to do a lot of things in the past and plan for things out of that, so. You know, the track, the football life, fields, some of the other activities, the bigger building, the gym, you know, bigger gym and all that stuff, those are things that students talk a lot about. The one thing that this actually was talked about, before we built it, so it's good. And then, basketball season, just finished up and, you know, our boys lost to a really good North Douglas team. We ended up, you know, arguably maybe the second best team over there at Baker City. They lost to the best team in the first round over there, but they were a quality team. Unfortunately, we lost that battle, so we were one game away. And then our girls lost a nail biter, a heartbreaker really, here in that first round game that they had against Trey. And then, you know, spring sports are coming on. We have high school baseball, middle school didn't have enough students that were wanting to do it here. We had a number of them that are doing some baseball outside of our school. One gentleman, for example, has 2 baseball teams that he was part of. And then we have high school, middle school softball, high school track, and then we had enough interest to bring golf back for this spring. We have 7 gentlemen, I believe, playing golf. We haven't had it for a long time, so we have been able
So
to have,
lady,
not so far, it's co-ed team, so they can
Right.
have girls and boys on that one. And we have OSED again this year, which we have ladies on that, so we have 3 students, I believe, participating in OSED. So there are some activities that we hadn't had in past years, you know, for a long time, I should say, come back. So that is it.
okay. Elementary, middle school report. Did we?
I can go ahead and do that. Talent show, along with the high school choir and several high school students, there are 5 elementary acts, including tap dancing, gymnastics, magic, and singing. The variety created amazing entertainment. I'm going to add a little bit in there for the teacher group too. That at the end, they did kind of a surprise dance that you see a lot online, and that was a pretty good. And so we had about 10 teachers that have been working behind the scenes for how long, Aaron? You were one of those.
We needed another week, but about 2 weeks.
Okay, so I thought it was a little bit more than that even. So they worked on it and they did their little dance to different songs that they would hear on TikTok or whatever. The kids really liked it. I think they had a lot of good songs that kids started like, you know, screaming when they heard certain songs. And then a couple of the high schoolers started out by doing one of the more popular dances going on right now. And so I think that was good. We got a lot of interest. Dr. Seuss, Reading Across America, Dress Up Days, and Cake for Dr. Seuss. Thanks to PCC for helping out with that again, as always. And then middle school is taking a field trip to St. Paul Farms. They're going to our old Spanish teachers' farm like we do with our high school students a few years back. So they offered to have us do that. And that's actually through one of the ag programs where they're having busing paid for and stuff like that out of the camp. So, you may know the name of
That's
that.
off the farmer's program, right?
I believe it's through AgLink.
Yeah, it's off the farmer's.
Yeah. So.
Great program.
Yeah, so we're happy about that. You know, middle school basketball is now over and softball started, so she wanted to talk about that. And it was great. We had an outstanding group of middle school students helping in the snack shack during basketball games. It's always a tough one when you have students helping out with that snack bar because, you know, it's hard to get them here sometimes. And we've noticed some activities like that a little bit more difficult even after we've had that over the last year. So it's nice to have students that are willing to pitch in and help out like that. That's what Mrs. Ford had.
Okay. Special education,
We have 25 students right now. We have eligibility meetings coming up, so I think that number is going to increase. We have a program now called Unique Learning Systems that we're just now kind of playing around with and figuring out, and it helps with transition goals and has ELA, math, it can track data, just kind of all-inclusive program. And Melissa and I are doing part of a seamless transition program So that involves both rehab, PD services, and just kind of starting in the 8th, 9th grade, choosing students that may struggle with employment after they graduate and figuring out, identifying their needs and strengths really early on. Once they graduate, they have support from the community. They have workers that can come help take them to work, help them be successful in a job. There's job shadowing opportunities. And so they work with a lot of agencies that employ students with special needs and kind of figure out where they fit in terms of their opportunity, really. So, yeah, it's very nice.
Good. Okay, facility report. Any questions about our facility report?
Did we work up the infield grass of the baseball field? So it's just gonna be a fair field this year.
That's what they were doing this year. They got some, well, as you saw, they brought in some dirt and kept it back.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I thought the grass was still okay, but it was never gonna grow in that.
No, yeah, they wanted to replant that. She took that one over. So.
He thought it would grow.
No,
No,
they just
dirt.
plan on being a dirt infield this year. So we can have that discussion a little bit later if you like. Any other questions on this one?
Let's move on to 5D, spotlight on education.
Yeah, this, one's on McKenna Hanson, who's our, switched over now to our ag position. So after Mrs. Griffin left for the FFA office, McKenna, or Mrs. Hanson decided, she would like to try to have that role if possible. And, she wanted to get in here at Perrydale and go to middle school. We're excited about that when this opportunity came up. This is what she went to school for. And, she went to UC Davis and, done a really excellent job and was well prepared, but still understands she has to learn, and she, is still a newer teacher, but she's really dove in and done a wonderful job and been very organized. And she had ag week that she had to do, and that went off really well. I just want to give her a shout out and some kudos because her, along with the students, did a really great job and pulled it off really well. And she's got some plants going in the greenhouse. She's got, the barn, cleared out and stuff. And she had the animals in there for the ag week. And she's even got her cricket that she's doing different FFA things, trying to get kids back in there and also trying to figure out ways to do more recruitment of our students. We talked today about even expanding our FFA program down, ag program down into the middle school now too. There's a middle school, junior high program, so we talked about looking at the feasibility of that and what that would entail too. So I like the fact that she's a go-getter. She's looking to do everything she can, and she's truly a team player and looking at ways to make our school better. And just the excitement when she had the opportunity to go over there and work with our students, that was really great.
I appreciate her flexibility and willing
Yeah.
to jump in and support the needs here at Perrydale.
Great. And then our students were again, that same group that did that with our FFA group, and they're also going to the state convention this coming weekend. So they'll be over at Redmond, and they're excited to be able to take part in that for the first time in a couple of years, all 3 years really. I probably will end up there, yeah. So I told her, I'm not sure which day, but my wife and kids are gone in the week. And so I probably make my way over there to Redmond. So, plus I told her if any kids mess up, that she can call me and I'll bring them back too, so.
Always the bus driver.
That's right. Well, no, I'd probably be in the back of my pickup. Cold going over the pass. But anyway, the students, like always, they always come through for us, and they always have since I've been here. Sometimes you'll get a little concerned as the advisor whether or not they're going to really get that done and get this done. So always have students that can go put a fan in someone's house, or do you remember that? Yeah, back in the day. So, but we always have students that are willing to pitch in and help out, and we have some really good students here. And people always ask why certain staff stay 25 years, 30 years, et cetera. It's because you realize you have a pretty good thing going here. And it was neat. It was a bad situation. Trina and I went to Connie Bittiger's daughter's funeral last week. And while that was a sad situation to have somebody around 50 years old, that passed away, it was nice to be able to see some of our longtime teachers who had been retired. And so we saw Mrs. Godby there and Mrs. Colby there, and we saw Mrs. Sal was there. Craig was there, obviously, and Dean was retired, but he was there. I mean, it was great to see that type of support there for Connie.
So it was a Perry Del reunion.
It really was. So it was nice to see those people. Circumstances were bad, but just to see those people that a lot of you grew up with, there again. So, anyway, so it's really great to have those FFA kids that always kind of come through in the clutch for us. So, kudos to them.
Thank you for the
You bet.
report. Item 6, consent agenda. Oh, E. Oh, I forgot, E and F. 5E, our new hires.
So Troy Tremblay is going to high school baseball coach. He'll be going solo this year. Brad Ford is doing golf. I do want to comment on both of those two real quick. Troy has really been trying to put in some time to get stuff going with Troy Llewellyn on doing the field stuff. And then Brad works to secure a practice spot at Cross Creek. Obviously, the Tarpies were good to us, but also at Bayou as well to get a couple days there, and even a fifth day when he did at another location. So I don't know. I don't think it was Oklahoma, but I can't remember where it was. Maybe it was Dallas also, actually. But for him to go out and be able to secure our practice facilities like that was really great. So, and then also Lindsay Gunther, who we've known for a long time around here. She used to work at Western Oregon. Lutheran Chairman, both her daughters go here, and she works at the prison now. And her husband's actually the head coach, but we do this as a bank. She may end up being an assistant coach. So. Anyway, we're excited to have all three of them helping out with our athletic program this year.
Great. Okay. 5F, PPC update.
So our auction is on May 6th at the Rick Real Event Hall. We have themed it the Roaring 20s Prom, and dressing up is not mandatory but recommended. We are being catered by the Olive Garden because it's prom. And we're working with the leadership and FFA classes. We came up with an additional fundraiser for the FFA, and I talked to McKenna over the weekend about it, and they have taken it on where they're going to actually do our center freezes for our tables, and then we're going to sell each one of those for $25, and they're going to get the money back into the FFA program. We are currently accepting donations for our auction, and tickets are on sale in the office. Okay.
Online too? Online also?
At this point, I don't think they're online. I think they're online.
You can watch it from home.
If they're not online.
Yes.
I don't know if they're going.
Oh.
I don't know. This is my first trip. I don't know. And then I did want to also touch bases with staff appreciation. The CPC has been talking about it for quite some time, where we feel like all of the staff has had a really hard last 2 years, and we wanted to do something that was above and beyond the normal, like dinners or lunches that we set up for them. And so we have approved spending $50 on each staff member, and we have sent out questionnaires to find out exactly what makes them happy and what kind of hobbies they have, so we can really get them gifts that really fit their needs and wants and desires. And so far, we've gone through 2 groups, and they seem to really like their guests, and they seem to think that they're pretty ideal to what they like. And so that's still going, and we'll keep going until we finish all the stuff. Right on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica.
All right. Item 6, consent agenda.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Then moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Consent agenda passes unanimously. Item 7A, item for board action, approve budget committee application. I say that loosely,
I was gonna say, do we need to take out the F?
yes,
Yes.
because it's not plural. Okay.
No, I got it.
Go ahead and schedule those extra 3 meetings now.
That's.
Oh.
Schedule those extra meetings. Is there any, do we have any discussion about, or like, the motion?
I'll move to approve the budget committee application.
Taylor?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the application for budget committee for Representative Anna Sharp. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you for your service again. We appreciate it.
I miss it.
7B, school calendar. Jan?
Sure. So we had some discussions with our teacher group and our classified and admin, so we just have a calendar group that, I think what page is it?
52.
Says it right there. I was looking for a color copy of it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's not. 52 and 53, I believe.
We'll give you a color copy. So we looked at, possibly having to start late because of construction items, but really the timeline for that, a week wouldn't really make a difference. The final time that we would be able to take full occupancy and everything cleaned up, et cetera, is scheduled for about October 7th in the old gym area. So with that, we can make do with that month of September to, with the weather, et cetera, being pretty good out there, and we can still utilize the kitchen area. So we can still do what we need to. We just won't have some of that area in the public school. So
You said October 7th.
October 7th is
Goal.
the goal. Realistic goal, I think, Paul. I mean, putting on a spot here.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Shipping is not a
I've
problem.
never with other schools on that. We basically do it from our community, but we're not using it, we're not using it.
Could you come up closer and say that into the mic nice and loud? Very loudly.
It's a big deal for contractors, they, a lot of penalties for them if they do not meet it.
Okay.
You make it financially hard on them if they weren't.
Well, now you're speaking the language.
So with that, we looked at a traditional model of what we have been doing in previous years. We do have, with our required trainings that they have to do through safe schools and some of the other items, we do have a 5th day still. We're still anticipating that they will give us some type of curveball as far as coming out of this stuff now, but I'm sure there'll be something we have to look at. Not from the legislature, but from the DE.
Yeah.
But we also have the state schools, et cetera, and there's a lot of tests for that nowadays, from sexual misconduct to abuse identification, homelessness. I mean, it's about 6 hours of training total that we're talking about. So with that, we had that day on the 26th. And then go through that Thursday, and then start after Labor Day. We are talking about doing, we are talking about having, I want to call it back to school night, but a bit of a time where people can come in and get a glimpse of the classrooms ahead of time during that in-service week on probably that Wednesday or Thursday, and modifying the hours a little bit.
You mean in August?
In August,
Yeah.
so that way they can come in and say hello and do a little meet and greet with everybody,
You're talking about the public?
parents and stuff. So, and then some changes or some oddities there, I will say. You know, obviously in November, we still have our conferences on the first 2 days, non-contract day on that third. There's some other school districts have followed suit with this over the years. Not that we came up with it, we borrowed it from somebody else, I'm sure. And then in December, we're going to school on that Friday. That'll be a 5-day school week right before vacation. And then that would be in lieu in January after Martin Luther King week, of going on that
Oh.
20th. So instead of going on the 20th of January, we would do that December 16th. We have precedent, we did this one out a year. I remember when Robin was still here, had suggested we look at doing that. And it was a good idea at the time, and a couple people threw tomatoes at me afterwards, I think. But everybody agreed that having those 3 in a row or 3 out of 4 weeks makes that a little bit challenging at times, especially when you have students on the 5th and the 20th, and then on the 2nd. And what that's the 2nd of January, that would be something both groups so far have expressed, interest in doing at this time. And then because that's technically the 2nd is the first and third. Did go with it 3 weeks of the week who's the legal counsel for the ESD, who works with a lot of districts. And, we looked at language, and there's language about kids not going to school that day, and that you can't teach that day, but they can work that day. So she said that, that would work, and the group signed off on it. So we're going to send that to her, I think it was last week, and she came back and said that would work. We just have to have that language with that. And again, we had Tabitha on the committee, and then we had somebody from the side that was on the committee as well. Otherwise, we would just, if that wasn't the case and we couldn't do that, we'd look at having it probably back on that 20th of January. For this, or a different time during the year, so that would be fine. And then, other than that, it's pretty straightforward. Spring break is the very end of March because it's a full week of March. Some schools are, struggling to figure out which week to do spring break, and some are struggling to figure out when to do Christmas break. Some, most of them are doing it kind of like we are. Some are going that 19th and 20th, but they're not going back till the 4th. And then one school district I saw is going until the 22nd and 23rd, but they're not going back until the 9th. So it's kind of that 1 year. That's kind of an oddity. And then everybody, last day for students is the 15th of June.
Okay. Are there any questions? Any concerns?
The MOU is supposed to do this sometime.
Yeah, I think we'd be going after that right away.
We
correct?
would, yeah, we just want to see it approved that we would do that. Otherwise, we would just make the modification for January 2nd and move that to, I think that's probably either the 20th or sometime later on in April. The 21st of April could also be something we look at.
Oh, okay. That October 7th date for shooting to get them into our new building, I'd kind of like to have some sort of back to school, like, if we could work something out with the FFA or the senior class, just something that welcomes the community, some sort of community event, community gathering. Just a ribbon cutting, big barbecue, something.
Those are like that, you say like a cattle racing. So to like that, we could do like the show and some district factors do that as well.
I think we could borrow that Fremont Street cover thing we were talking
As
about
long as
earlier.
you buy your elected official one.
Yeah, you know.
Let's try to do both. Let's try to do, I like the little shovel thing and the ribbon cutting.
Yep.
But I really want the community.
You're gonna do barbecue on the same week as the barbecue.
No, it wouldn't be.
This would be completely separate.
Yeah. That'd be like a month later,
Totally.
October 7th. You guys usually do that the first week of school.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'd be something a month later.
Just, as a district, we just want to welcome the community here.
We were looking at doing
Show what their
spaghetti feed.
taxes are. Huh?
Not spaghetti feed. We're looking at doing corn feed on the 30th of September because we have a home game that day. So we could, I mean, I'm assuming by the 30th of September, could people walk through that?
Go back in.
I know it was, wasn't it?
Look at what areas you do.
We're looking for something that around the 14th. maybe. So.
Is there like a
That's
chat
October.
room of like groups like yours that are like, okay, never work with Perry Doll ever?
No, they're all competitors, so. We'll talk about it. That's his piece of it.
Yeah.
No.
It's in what, how it's.
Yeah.
They, the multiple
So we can, yeah, or we could just go buy
You
some.
can't just use the one on the shop.
No, you don't have the pretty one.
We have
They work better than.
You have gold ones? Yep.
You have the
Oh,
one that
okay.
you don't even need to do it.
Oh, they're like, we could go buy it at,
Yeah.
the ones at Lowe's, and I got some gold sparkle. I'll be dazzled. Oh, there you go, right? I think Brian have to really dig the hard
I'll
dirt.
bring my own.
Yeah. Okay,
Anyway, I don't know if there are any other questions on the calendar or not. But we're all ears.
oh, if there are. Nope. And can I get a motion?
I'll move to approve the 2022, 2023 calendars to the certified and classified hazard. Certified and classified.
That sounds good.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the 2022 and 2023 certified and classified calendars. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 2022, 23 calendars passed unanimously. 7C, resolution 22-07.
This is just here to extend certified contracts. We do it every year. We knew that our meeting today was the 14th this month, so we did it today. Tomorrow is the statutory time that we do it. So, you know, you can do the teachers who have met the requirements for the number of years in the part above. And then you can see some of the people that are in their first year. Even though McKenna was a kind of part-time last year there at the end when Mr. Brown left, she would still be in the area. So, you know, those teachers are on the first spot.
I guess I'm a little confused on one. I don't know the right way to discuss it.
I think we talked about that the other day, maybe. So do you want to go into the next session afterwards?
Yeah, I
Or we
think,
can just have that conversation afterwards if we have to.
yeah, as this stands, I'm a no vote, so I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Don't know what we need to do to legally and ethically discuss it. I mean, if somebody wants to make a motion, feel free. I'm just gonna be really blunt that I'm not.
So I think maybe that we can change that for the rest of the session. I think. So kind of item of one of the-
Yeah. Do we wanna push this to the end of the meeting and power through everything else and go to executive?
Sure.
Could we do that?
From that.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So resolution 22-07, we're gonna push to the end of the meeting to discuss. Resolution 22-08, SIA additional funding.
Yeah, we had to, they gave us a new budget, we had about 257 and they went up to 291. So that's where you're seeing your additional 34,000. Putting that to the facilities acquisition and construction. And in the description, it says creating a spending authority for the CT class reconstruction and initial CT equipment and installation. And so that's going directly to that 4,000 function. And then you can also see in this resolution, it's moving from instructional to the 4,000 function in the same fund. So I went through it all in one resolution.
I know it's fun. Anybody have any questions or want to discuss it? Have you got a motion?
Move to approve resolution 22-08, SIA additional funding. For $34,577.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution 22-08, SIA additional funding. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Do you want to sign this copy so you can keep yours?
Any opposed?
Sorry.
Passes unanimously.
There we go, sorry.
Yeah, I will sign.
Yeah, okay.
Can I use your pen?
Yeah.
So special when I can find things.
When you get to sign things. You are special, Cindy.
Some people.
All right, moving along, 7E, hazardous material abatement bid.
So yes, I'll actually defer to Paul on this one here, but we got the recommendation from HMK on this one from March 9th. So this talked about the bid that we received and the price. Paul, I don't know if you want to speak to that.
Okay, so we accelerated the schedule slightly to take advantage of the delay. And I had to move up my bidding schedule as well as the changes we had a few weeks ago. So it gave me a pretty short window to get this done. So what I did is I worked with my house consultant. We actually got three quotes for you. I got you three quotes here. One did not provide this. I was able to query and I really just idea what it's going to be around 90,000 range. So this, you are getting these are three very difficult contracts I've worked in the past. Great numbers, great work ethic, great experience in the past. So, I was able to get those to a pretty short time frame, and we've also consolidated the whole abatement project into that. So you can get started as well. So, any questions about that? The budget for that was $100,000.
And they did not know what that budget was, correct? I just want to make sure
That's fine.
I let you know that.
Oh, they didn't know?
They did not know.
We don't tell them what that is.
At least you were doing a good job with your budget.
That was, yeah, so it did come in higher, so just to be transparent, it come in higher than what we were expecting, around 80, didn't go 80,000. I got out engineers, and I was
And by doing the
Yeah.
project all at one time and doing it during spring break, you just speak to the savings.
Didn't have to do it, like, it's pretty great. I couldn't put a number to it, because I don't know about significant savings. I will be doing other projects with abatements, at that time, I was there, I'm just that's coming across. For example, like, other savings, I will be doing, but it's like, it's on the front, so that's it.
You have a recommendation?
I do recommend, you
For the $99,779.
You guys have any questions or thoughts or opinions? That's what you're elected for, your opinion.
I told you that I just did a quick Google search on what
Yeah.
pavement costs and I just did it off of what really square footage or around what the kindergarten is. It's not out of the realm,
Right
a
there.
lot.
Yeah.
But
And so we have it in some of the other classrooms, that's mostly mastic for some of the boards, the whiteboards and chalkboards, et cetera. And then we also have some debris underneath the elementary. That
Bag that, scoop up, 2 inches more below as well.
Right,
not throughout the whole elementary, just in
just that spot.
those spots.
So is there a risk to that when they actually are doing it, that we could have, I mean, this could be over 100,000 by the time they're done, or is this say not to exceed?
Only the risk change of it.
Okay.
If we were to find additional expenses that we didn't know about, that is the risk percentage. But we do a lot of diversion, stuff like that, but it's not. I'm scared of it, but it's not. I think it's just a little, something more, but, yeah, I mean, that's, you know, so we actually, like, benefit from it, one of the most big.
Hard to believe, isn't it?
Yes.
I think
Your dad buried it years ago. Your dad buried it.
we did find, when Troy was underneath, there the other day, we did find a, what appears to be a whiskey bottle from like the 1930s.
Oh, wow.
Maybe 40s, probably 40s, actually, now that I think about when it was legal, but where is that?
They were cool back then.
Yeah, somebody was underneath there when they, probably when they did some of the rebuild stuff after,
Somebody working at the school was drinking.
so I'm not sure where it's located.
I'd love
I
to
have no idea.
I'd love to see it.
Come to my car afterwards and I'll show you.
I found some nice old ones on my property doing some digging.
Yeah,
They're cool.
it really is, yeah. So, when Troy had some pictures that when he first found it, it was all, it looked like a blackened chicken sandwich type deal, but he washed it all off and cleaned it out and stuff, so it's a cool bottle. So,
All right, well, we heard the recommendation. Where do you guys, anybody want to make a,
I'll move to approve all aspects environmental and demolition for the removal of asbestos, in the amount of $99,749.
it's been moved and seconded to approve our bid for abatement. Does anybody have any more comments or conversations? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion stays passed unanimously. Thank you. We appreciate your work on that. So don't sit down
I
yet.
was gonna say, just keep standing.
So, 7F, HMK, what are we calling this one? Administrative,
It's the hazardous materials.
Oh, it's an amendment,
contract amendment
hazardous.
For PBS. So when we had the contract first approved by the board for PBS to do the hazardous materials testing, they're also the ones within there that, when you determine the scope, they would be the ones that oversee and be on site when the company is doing that. We have to have somebody there to do that. And so PBS, as you can see in that, they provided their estimates for that and what it was for it. And, again, that just came to us today because we're trying to do everything at one time instead of in two different phases in order to save that money. So make sure that we're in budget. So you can see what the amounts were there. That we wanted to make sure that, if we're looking to do that spring break, obviously we should do that meeting that we can do to make sure we have it done and not move into our next possible meeting, which should be after spring break on the 30th from the board and project in this meeting. That would be too late. So I want to make sure we did it.
Just so you can have most of the people, the 15 days of the work section or the work the comments like that, I mean, that contract is good, that's all. I'm sure I should spend the rest of that, so you could see a reduction on the base on that. Those are the budget results.
not to exceed the 15,000. 15,150.
Just to give you a history on when we did the RFP for hazardous material day, we asked them for a third day fee while they were on site. So, and that was one of the messages we hear from all the companies we got. Well, other companies were over $1,000 a day, even if it was $50 a day. So that's part of really looking for the under the house.
And again, this still puts us within budget, under budget actually.
Right.
So, and this would be the worst case. So if we do have a little bit more, and you were speaking to Jimmy, we still have somebody in that area, those areas to work with. But if this is the worst case scenario, we are able to come in with fewer days. That would, that would allow us to have a little bit more money on top. Maybe not too much.
A little bit. All right, well, I'm asking again for a motion.
Hazardous materials contract amendment for PBS.
CBS, of 13,000, do you want amendment 1? Do you want it to say
No, or, that was the first one,
so this
right?
is the total,
Um,
not to exceed the 15,
That's
15,000.
Oh, the
20,000, 150.
That's together too. Second.
Then moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes. Just thinking about how much drinking I'm gonna do if we go over budget.
And will you be able to have somebody connect with us this week to make sure what we're supposed to move? I'm working every day next week. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope the family's doing well. All right, item 8, patron input.
No.
Did I miss something again?
B.
Oh, am I right? Gee,
Brian, did you want to speak to this?
maintenance supervisor contract.
So obviously Troy's term was, his contract was coming up. And then along with, he was putting in applications at different places, and so we wanted to try to get it done earlier. And we came to some numbers that we could agree with. So we're not going to keep them on. Just because a lot of people reports.
And we've got the numbers changed for 4 years instead of 3.
Yep.
District 71 instead.
So I don't know if you want to say anything else.
No, Troy's done a really good job. We're really thankful to have Troy. He's done a great job for our staff, students, and just school in general. So, just a lot of stuff going on.
He's also really fit in with our district. He works well with people. He's definitely knows us and cheers for our kids.
Yeah, like I stated before, he ended up showing up to Crossville Christian when we had a basketball game.
There's no Douglas.
Yeah, yeah, he did.
Other events after support the kids, so that's really great to see him there. He's definitely brought into the community aspect of the school.
And he's worked hard through the pandemic. But
We're just lucky about that doesn't go exist, otherwise he may be up to his own alma mater there.
do you want to do it?
I'll move to approve the maintenance director's contract.
So moved and seconded to approve the maintenance director's contract. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you, Troy. We look forward to the next 4 years. Okay, am I missing one again? No.
Nope, you're good.
I do appreciate all of you. Item 8, patron input. Is there anybody who wanted to speak to something that was not on the agenda?
I'm gonna throw one more thing in if I can, but I forgot my lunch.
You may.
update.
You have 3 minutes.
Okay, so you started talking about Troy, it reminded me of something. So we worked on a different classification of pesticide applicator license discussion. So it came to us as I know, right? Came to us as a wish from ODA to be able to do things in rule. And I firmly don't believe in giving agencies any ability to do anything in rule if we don't have to.
Thank you.
So we actually worked with agency and Oregon Institute Shelter and Farm Bureau to figure out a fix for it, and we did it statute. And in those conversations, I was able to have some really fruitful conversations about how we need to roll back the IPMs for school districts because they are causing nothing but headache. So we're already starting to put our thinking caps on about how we might be able to get that in 2023, so that Troy can actually put mouse bait and wasp spray and all those things we need to do the job. Everybody else does, they go to Lowe's and Home Depot. So stay tuned, they'll try to hang in there. We'll get it done before it's not done. Hopefully.
Okay, thank you.
Can you have them put those tests online too, so you don't have to go through them?
That they do too. So, yeah. They're still not open to the public, so who knows?
No, they're not, right?
We watch.
All right, thank you. 9, board comments. Okay, so last meeting, we talked about doing something for our staff for appreciation, something from us as a board. Have you guys any thoughts of that? I'm gonna work with Cindy and get a survey out to all of us board members. If there's anything you want included in that, but I'm gonna kind of open it up broad. And, we have a little bit of money that we can use in our budget for board training and put it back. So if you guys have some ideas, that would be a great time to put that in, reply to Cindy and help me get something organized and put out there. I
have
know.
a comment, you know, a question.
Yeah.
We had at one point talked about doing our self-evaluations, and now we're talking about it.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna do it in
In
January.
January.
So I don't know if we need to look at doing something about that soon, because we're such a complete draft.
How about we, I know we don't, but it's good for us to evaluate ourselves. How about if we start our work session a little early, next board meeting, we start at 6? And we do, so I'll get to Cindy and distribute to you guys early. You can get it all filled out. We can hash it out for